Welcome to Avalon. This is pretty much day one of starting to turn this large, empty, random piece of land I decided to buy. Like an hour and a half out of Gothenburg, north, near a lake, into summer house of a sort, with a yurt, grill cutter, pond, all sorts. With me, my occasionally helpful assistant Merlin, hence naming the place Avalon. Let's do a tour. As you can see, a road goes along the edges of the property. It's 15,000 square metres or 1.5 hectares. You may just about be able to make out in the distance the red boundary marker in the corner there. So that marks the edge, which goes diagonally through this area. And then I think this bit needs clearing. We've got some ferns and some berry trees, and you can see down here it's the remains of a wall that kind of goes all the way along into this area, which honestly is one of the reasons I decided to buy this. This is the top of a very small stone hill, is a phrase for it, I guess. And if we trim it back a bit, what I'm hoping is you can fit a Swedish style grill cutter in this space. And that is broadly west. So then this space gives us a view out. This is easier to climb up and down, which is why I'm thinking that becomes the way in. And then these trees get trimmed back. And then the rocks and things carry on this way. And we've got some nice overhanging tree for shade. And this really nice, almost flat stone outcropping looking out over the fields. Which should give us a really nice view of sunset. And then as we come down from that outcropping, as you can see, the previous owner has cleared a lot of the trees, particularly some of the really big ones, which is a small shame, but also gives a lot more light than I think would have been here. So one of my jobs today is going to be to pick up some of the better wood that still remains. And then my property comes down to roughly here, so basically as the edge goes along, it cuts through, and we go this way for a while, and I think more or less to where that tall silver tree is. We need to validate that before we do anything crazy like fencing. There's so much land that I'm not that worried about going too little, but I obviously don't want to cut into my new neighbour's property. And then we've got another pile of rocks, some trees. I'm broadly keeping Merlin on his long line for the time being, which is why I'm occasionally ducking back and doing some strange hand moves. This way. You can see we've already got quite a lot of new growth in this area. So, assuming it is from that tree, we're broadly cutting this way in a diagonal. I love a good rock to climb. And then we're back into this top bit. So I'm going to pause a bit and see if we can take some measurements in here. You can see very approximately we've got the 4 meters across that we need, and then yes, we've got the 4 meters more or less that we need in each direction, so it's going to fill this space quite substantially. So there's going to have to be a lot of work to tidy it all up, but I think we can push this back a bit, dig up a couple of these trees and move them, and we should be good. So as we go back to the centre, you've got this very flat area that's slightly raised, a couple of big tree stumps, and then you can see it kind of slopes down towards the road there. That can get quite muddy from what I've seen, and this rock that Merlin's just having a bit of fun with, this keeps striking my mind as when I get a hammer drill, put a hole in the centre, and it will be quite a nice one to mount a sword and a stone in to continue the Arthurian thinking. And then as we get here, we've got this pond that, if the excavator guy is up for it, I'd like to dig out a bit more into a bit more of an oval shape, just make it a bit bigger, a bit nicer. Got a bunch of old stones sort of edging. Those two trees have been chopped down. I think if I clear the branches, you can actually put quite a nice bench in between them. You've got a couple of nice stones lining it, and then we kind of move back into a more grassy area. Another really nice option for a stone for the sword and the stone, which is Merlin. Leave it. She's Excalibur. So you can see there's a reasonable amount of muddy water around, unfortunately. So one of the long-term goals is going to be much better drainage management, but there's enough land here that I don't really need to worry about that in the short term. Something I can pick up a bit later. And then you can see there's another sort of stone wall going across there. So it's very previously worked, this land. I think the previous owner told me the farm next door is his nephew's, and this used to be part of that. But I'm guessing this was less farmland. So what I'm thinking is, up here, again, if there's space, would be where I'd put the yurt, which has got a about an 6 metre diameter, the ones I'm looking at. And a pretentious traveller that I am, rather than just buying one from an online store, I'm actually going to have it imported from the yurt factory I visited in Kyrgyzstan over the summer. But they're currently building a house for themselves, so they're not doing yurts, but the timing kind of works out. So this sort of raised space going back sort of around these trees feels like it'd be a really nice spot, if I can do it, for the yurt. And here we've got a couple of the larger trees that have come down that have taken their roots with them, so that will need some thinking around what to do. Got quite a few logs piled up there. All of these are the ones that have been sold off, so they're going to come and collect those at some point. But in the spring, when I can, my plan is to plant living willow fence along the edging here, just to make it a bit easier to let Merlin run around a bit more. Because right now, when I'm this side, if I'm not paying attention, I don't feel totally comfortable with letting him off lead, because cars can come a little bit fast. This would potentially be a really nice spot for a fire pit, as it's already kind of dug out. It's lined with stones. Just have to move a couple of those bigger stones. Problem is, it's not in a particularly great location for that at the moment. but we'll see how everything changes as I start building. And then yeah, we get down into another flat space. So this is where I'm thinking potentially, and it might get moved further along, but potentially have some farming. So dig some of this out, start having some maybe raised beds for growing crops and things, because it's still got some protection from the trees to keep things going, but it's reasonably flat. Again, you can see the water's kind of accumulating in certain areas, and a lot of that, as you can see from the colour changing, is quite wet and marshy. So I don't know if this line is a game trail or a dried up stream or both. I suspect a little bit of both. You can see it cuts up through there and along here as it gets marshier, but right now it's not super empty enough to be an effective drainage, so that might be something to pick up. But this is the main stream Merlin, which goes down to the very edge of the property and then runs back up. So I had ambitions. Merlin, leave it. You have water. And then the stream, I think I need to update my map, to be honest. The stream is maybe closer to the edge of my property than I thought. This way. So yeah, my initial thinking was maybe to dig this stream out this weekend, but I think that's wildly ambitious. Now I walk along the edge of it and realise just how long it is. But yeah, if we jump back across, Merlin. Yeah. You can see this is where quite a lot of logging happened here as well. Got quite a lot of nice wood. It's unfortunately very wet now. This way. And this cuts through again. We've got a very wood covered thing, so this is another nice empty spot, nice wood, nice stone wall again, just on this edge. There's some really solid logs still remaining, that I guess aren't part of the sale, which maybe not be able to do anything about until the spring. When I pick up a few more tools and can chop those in slightly more manageable sizes. You can see there's a ton of stuff here, so this may be an additional job to come and tidy this corner up a little bit. And this is kind of where I'm thinking about getting the parking done, so smooth that entrance when you come in here between these two trees. Where it might be a bit damp, it could be a bit of a problem, but it seems reasonably flat, because otherwise we're looking at things like coming off the road there where there's a lot of junk to move and a lot of trees. But I'll see what the guy says. Maybe it's easy to come in there. The dog's got some healthier water, I've got some definitely not so healthy stuff to drink, and we're going to start seeing what wood we can salvage onto that pallet that looks wildly too small. That might just be the perfect Excalibur rock. Well, I say Excalibur, the sword and stone isn't Excalibur, but it's got a slight indent, it's got a slope, it's pretty good. The wood clearing is progressing, like there's so much land, but at least in this kind of area I've made a dent. I want to clear basically this bit make a pathway essentially to the pond, so I can get in through there. So I can get in through there, then I can get up to where the grill cutter is, down along here to the pond and where the yurt's going to go. Everything else is gravy. Quick break with the dog chewing some sticks, but I think I've made a reasonable start on pulling stuff together. Give it another hour or so and then make some lunch in the van kitchen. There's a warning of rain, but so far everything looks pretty reasonable. You can see the area is definitely looking better. There's a long way to go. Oh, that was hard work, but I managed to drag an entire root system out of my little pond. Oh, strike that, not a root system. Barbed fence. I'm doing our little kitchen lunch. Thought about going to the really nice Gule cafe nearby, but I don't really want to pack everything up. So making trail rations, which I pretty much lived on when I did the King's Trail for a month. So familiar tastes, but a bit easier to do with this pull-out kitchen. So waiting for my food to arrive, regretting I didn't bring the chair with me from the car. Dog has a chew to keep himself entertained. I got a nice view, although I'm beginning to think we're not going to get too much more time here. So we've got a pretty happy and pretty tired dog perched on a rock. One of the many reasons I think he is a more Bernese mountain dog than he is poodle. The other is he's a bit of a fatty. And then what I've been doing recently is just trimming some of this stuff back in the grove where the smithy, the grill cutter, is going to go. So we'll need to get rid of the fern, I guess. But I think broadly this area should give us a pretty reasonable thing. I'm torn because the entrance is much easier that way. So steps down, then you go straight down to towards the main kind of area, and it's pretty smooth. You can move some of those rocks, turn it into a bit of a natural staircase. But the light and the view is this way. I wonder if I could get a better window for the back of the grill cutter. But then we're moving away from cheap solution into pricey solution. Just spotted even more wire, this one piled up here. So I'm going to need some kind of solution for getting rid of this stuff. So this is definitely one of the least attractive parts at the moment, where quite a lot of trees have come down and left quite a lot of branches and things. I think more than I can realistically clean. I wonder about getting one of those wood chipper things that drives across everything. And then this is the thing that a bunch of people kept assuming was a gravestone, but is a mile marker. So Swedish mile, 1,000 kilometres. Don't actually know what it's indicating. Like what's a quarter of a mile away, 250 kilometres? Karlstad maybe? So one of the things I probably need to Google is how long it takes to some of this stuff to break down. How much of a problem is it to leave a large piles of this wood? And I am definitely thinking the main drain there comes from there, so across the road from that forest, and goes down. So I am thinking maybe this is a good option for the excavator as well. So 3 jobs, excavate this to give us better coping, bring a level parking area in. And, I mean, maybe the best place for that level parking area is along here once the wood's been moved, because it's kind of naturally going to have been flattened out. But my other thoughts, kind of between these trees, because the drainage ditchway here evens out quite a bit. So clear up the branches and things, and then we go in. That may well be a good option. Could also go straight in from the corner, and so almost make this edge itself one, which could be quite good actually. The only issue is somewhere along here is, there it is the actual drain. So there's the drain from across the road, so maybe this bit, you bring that bit in, then you can go over there. A few bits like this as you go around, where water's just kind of drained. Merlin, this way. Good boy. Which? Merlin. I think some of that is just with a lot of the trees down, there's a lot less water being consumed, but also probably needs to be some planning. But you got a ball. I don't know where that came from. Oh. And this is a super cool little local place. The bakery, like it's an industrial bakery, like full on making stuff. But they open the door and you can pay by Swish for a few bags of things. Brief stop in the Hornbuck in Trollhättan or Overby. Picked up a rake and a knife, and did not want to stand outside in order to get some mulch. And then we got a little bit of an hour left driving, but we've kind of made the right call because the weather is becoming terrible.